Hello, and welcome back to another episode. We are back here in the Dwarven Kingdom, mostly because I need a lot of, I need a lot of concrete. And the blast chamber over here is probably going to be the best place for me to get a whole bunch pretty quickly. And I figured, while we're over here kind of having fun with the blast chamber, we would, we would have do a couple projects over here and have some fun over here. So, one of the projects that I want to do is actually an amethyst geode farm. Well, an amethyst farm at a geode. Yeah. And as it turns out, if I go into free cam mode here, there we are. If I go over here, there's actually 2 geodes over here, and I've already cleared out most of the calcite. That's actually where I got the calcite for the farms over in the Empire. The towers around the farms. The farmland towers. The carrot, potato areas, melon, pumpkin. Yeah. So we're going to turn these 2 geodes into a amethyst farm. Amethyst shard farm, I should be specific. There is a third amethyst geode that's actually really close too. The problem is the top of it is on the floor of this gigantic cavern here. And I have an idea for this cavern. I don't know if it'll work out or not, but I have an idea for it. And if that idea is to work out, I don't want some giant machinery to be poking up into this giant cavern. So we are going to leave this geode be, and we are just going to do this geode and that geode for a amethyst shard farm. And I think we'll get enough anyway, just from these 2, that I think we'll be okay. And if we need to, I mean, there's another geode, there's another geode, there's another geode. Like, we can always make another geode farm. So, amethyst crystal farm. Anyway, I think that will be our first project. So let me start digging, because I need to clear out a lot of room around the geode in order for the farm design that I'm going to use for it to work. All right, our Amethyst Shard farm is now done. I think I want to talk a little bit about the design of the actual farm itself. This is as you might have guessed, this is an Ilmango slash Psycraft server members designed farm. There is a design that I've seen a lot of people use that they'll actually flood this entire amethyst geode and then go through here with a Fortune 3 pickaxe and just harvest all of the shards from off the buds. I think the reason why I decided not to go with that is if you break the budding amethyst, the actual block itself, um, it then it's gone. You won't be able to get it back. You can't silk touch it. You can't move it. And yeah, I think over time I would just end up breaking all of them, and then I just wouldn't have access to any amethyst shards. And this is obviously this is a flying machine design. So the flying machines will end up going through here and breaking as many of the amethyst clusters as we can reach. There's a few places, like for instance this gap right here, we don't have enough room to be able to send a flying machine through, which is the kind of the downside of the design that I went with. But yeah, if I did this right, we should be able to harvest a fair amount of the shards. So why don't we kick this off? I do have a button over here, and I am sending the flying machines from the top down first, and then the sides will go afterwards. So why don't we give this a watch? So we can see all of the flying machines knocking all of the shards down. And they'll land in the water and automatically return. Then when they return, we should send the next layer. Looks like that side goes. Nice. And shards that get caught on the honey and the slime should get knocked off when they get back to the edge there. That's perfect. All right. And I think our other geode is going as well. And all of the shards will end up going down into a water stream. And they'll go underneath this geode and come up into our shulker loader here. Which I think we should have a fair amount. It looks like 2 escaped. We have 2 stacks there so far. And this is completely full. Yeah, I bet there's a lot of shards just right there. I wonder if I will have to adjust this somehow. Maybe I'll end up figuring out a way to get a minecart with hopper in here to be able to handle the amount of shards that come through a little bit better. But yeah, I think that is going to be our amethyst shard farm, so we can make all of the tinted glass and the amethyst blocks that we want. And that will be a lot of help for the rest of our Dwarven Kingdom area around here. I do eventually want to come through and get a floor design, and maybe, I don't know if I'll do some sort of wall design or if I'll leave this as kind of like a work area. But I do want to go through here and clean this up a little bit. So yeah, that is the plan with the amethyst farm. So I think we are ready to move on to our next project. The other project I want to do today is actually down here. If we turn around and go down here, we built this bone meal farm a while ago. This is one of our earlier projects down here in the Dwarven Kingdom. And I feel like I kind of left this maybe 3/4 or 5/6 done. Mostly because there's a lot of just not great looking area inside the actual farm itself. So I think what I'm going to do is build a moss farm. it's essentially just going to be one section of our bone meal farm, but instead of composting all of the moss, we're just going to collect it, and then we'll use the bone meal from this farm here to feed that one section over there, and then we can take all of the moss that we generate from there, and we'll be able to come in here and spruce this up a lot. So I think we'll make that look pretty good. I don't think I'll actually do the aesthetics for this farm here after I finish the moss farm. I just want to do the moss farm today. But I think I have a spot here-ish picked out. So if I go into my fly cam mode again, if I go this way, we have some room here between where our little valley down into the wood farm and the blast chamber is. And so I think we can kind of nestle it in back here somewhere. And I think that'll be enough room. So let me get digging on that. Have another time lapse. Okay, our moss farm is now complete, so let's go take a look. I wanted to try to make the get the feeling that the moss is kind of expanding out into the tunnel out here. Almost like there's so much growth of moss inside of the farm itself that it can't help but grow outwards. There are some differences from this farm than the bone meal farm just over there. I already said the main one, which is that we're not putting the moss that we gather from the farm into composters to turn it into bone meal. Which also means that we need to make a little bit of a change to the farm so that we actually have bone meal in the dispensers in order to make the moss in the first place. And that's what these two chests are for. These are input chests. So this is where we will put bone meal in. And if we hop into free cam here, they'll flow throughout this this water stream, going over all of the hoppers that feed the dispensers that create the moss. And then it comes all the way back and ends up into this chest right over here when there's any extra bone meal. So if we're all full and we still have bone meal flowing through the system, it'll end up here, and then we can just recycle it when we need to. This chest here is the output for the completed or the full shulker boxes of moss. I guess we can take a look downstairs. So if we go down here and go into the back, we have, it's kind of hard to tell, but we have the first four shulker loaders here are for moss itself. And then we have regular azalea bush, and then we have the flowering azalea bush. This last one is a little bit different. You can see there isn't a double chest here, but you can barely see it there. There's a couple of composters. So I guess I'll do this. Yeah, there's a couple of composters there. That's for like the seeds, and if we have any extra, like if we just get a huge clump of moss and all four of these are full, importing, sending moss into the shulkers, they'll end up in the back here, and they'll just get composted, and we'll have another source of bone meal that we can just put right back into the system if we need it. And then I did color coordinate the shulkers, so the four dark green are for the moss. This is for the regular azalea bush, and then this is for the flowering azalea bushes. So yeah, this is the same type of shulker loader that I'm using over in the raid farm. I made a little bit of adjustments with the chest themselves. Before in the raid farm, I had it just going into a couple of double chests, and then at the end it goes into the shulker loader. But that essentially means that it's just a 1 times hopper speed shulker loader, and I think this is still probably 1 time because we have a bottleneck right here of going past the actual sticky piston and observer. But this should give us a bit of a buffer for items. And when we turn off the farm, or when it's able to catch up, it'll be able to empty out and fill up some more shulkers. So yeah, that was the slight change I made there. And then this is just the standard item filter. And yeah. And then up above, did I make any changes back here? Not really. I started making just some aesthetic decisions with this is just green concrete in the back with some green glass. I do want to come through and kind of try to make this look somewhat like a lush cave in here, maybe. That's the idea anyway, and I'll try to do the same thing with the bone meal farm that way as well. But I kind of need some moss before we can do that. So why don't we actually turn on the farm and let it run? So here we go. I missed something very important. I need ender chest. I need this. I need this. You need that. All right, try number 2. I hear things. All right. Well, looks like the moss is being created. The water's flowing correctly. we look here, we should see all of our spoils from the farm being trickled into the hoppers. Nice. So I think I will just let this run for a while here, and I'll get some moss, and then we can start decorating the ceiling above the moss farm here, and also the ceiling and the inners maybe of the bone meal farm as well. But that'll probably have to wait for another episode because we are out of time for today. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.